Okay, so let's take a look at this model. This is a model of a section of a muscle cell, but it's actually a little bit more than that. It's an area where the nerve of the nervous system meets the muscle cell, so it's also representing the neuromuscular junction. So first, let's do a little bit of review. You guys took a little look at this. If we take a look at the superior section of this model, we can see a couple things. Here's the cell membrane, which in the muscle cell gets the special name sarcolemma. Here's some mitochondria, which look like little jelly beans with squiggles in them. And you've got these areas called myofibrils. Myofibrils are filled with myofilaments. And when you put all these myofibrils together, they make up our muscle cell, which is also known as a muscle fiber. Okay, so now when you go ahead and you take a little look inside of this muscle cell, you're going to see this area that is sort of a beige color. This is the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which is the specialized name for the endoplasmic reticulum in a muscle cell. And it's interspaced with this blue area called the T-tubules. The area where our T-tubules and our sarcoplasmic reticulum meet is referred to as the triad. Looking over here, here's some more of the mitochondria, but down here, this big orange guy, here's a nucleus. And remember, in the skeletal muscle cell, the nucleus is going to be pushed to the periphery, to the outside of the cell, just underneath the cell membrane, and there's going to be multiple of these because the cell is too big to be controlled by just one. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the nervous system portion of this model. And what we're going to see is a couple things. This yellow portion here is all nerve. This represents a nerve. In fact, here's our axon over here. So here's the axon of this nerve, and it's coming down and it's meeting up with this muscle cell. And where the nerve ends, where the axon ends and meets with the muscle cell, it's referred to as the axonal terminal. And if you take a really close look here, you'll see these little tiny circles which represent little vesicles that are filled with acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that is ready to help activate this cell to contract when an action potential reaches it. Now on the muscle side of things, here's our sarcolemma once again, and our sarcolemma all of a sudden starts to get wiggly and squiggly. And what we're doing here is we're increasing the surface area. Let me blow that up a little more. Okay, so we're increasing the surface area. And what we're doing is we're creating something called the motor endplate. So the motor endplate is associated with the muscle. The axonal terminal is associated with part of the nerve, and the space in between the two, this is the synaptic cleft. So acetylcholine needs to get from here into here by passing through the synaptic cleft. So let me pan out a little bit here. Show this to you in perspective. Once again, here's our axonal terminal. This is the end point of the axon, where it's coming into contact with this muscle cell. It's going to release acetylcholine, which has to pass through this synaptic cleft, this space, to interact with the motor endplate. The point where the sarcolemma gets all squiggly, the part that's set up to get acetylcholine into this muscle cell so that we can trigger the series of events which make this muscle cell contract. Because remember, muscle cells only work in one direction, right? They contract. And there you go, a little overview of our muscle cell and its accompanying motor neuron.